All right, let's dive into something that is, well, just delicious, but also surprisingly political: French food. Today, we're going to unpack the incredible story of how French haute cuisine became the gold standard for fancy food all over the world. And trust me, it's quite a tale.
I mean, have you ever stopped to think about it? Why is it that when we say fine dining, our brains almost automatically picture a French restaurant? With French techniques, maybe a French chef. It is absolutely not an accident. There's a whole history here of power, revolution, and some straight-up genius that answers this exact question.
So to really get how we got here, we have to rewind. We're going way back to the super lavish, over-the-top world of the French monarchy. This is where it all kicks off. So in France, you had this kind of perfect storm brewing. The monarchy was incredibly powerful, and they used food as a flex, to show off their might. These huge feasts were basically political theater. And then you had all the aristocrats trying to one-up each other, hiring the best chefs to create the most insane, spectacular dishes. All this intense, well-funded competition basically turned the royal kitchens into these incredible laboratories for culinary innovation. Now, for centuries, this amazing food was totally locked away inside the palaces of the rich and powerful. An everyday person, you could only dream of what that stuff tasted like. But a massive, earth-shaking event was just around the corner, and it was about to unleash this cuisine on the entire world. And that year is, of course, 1789, the beginning of the French Revolution. This didn't just bring down a king, it completely flipped the entire culinary world on its head. And that political chaos, it had this incredible, unintended consequence. The revolution in the streets actually sparked a revolution in the kitchen. It gave birth to something we totally take for granted today: the restaurant. Just think about the domino effect here. The revolution completely shatters the aristocracy. All of a sudden, these unbelievably talented chefs, guys who'd spent their whole lives cooking for dukes and counts, they're out of a job. So what do? They do something totally radical. They open up their own places for the public. The impact of this was just immediate and massive. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The birth of the restaurant basically democratized fine dining. It took this exclusive, secret food of the super rich and put it on a public menu. The best food in the entire country was no longer hidden behind palace walls. It was now for sale to the growing middle class. But okay, just making the food available isn't enough to make it the world standard. The next step, this was the crucial one. It was all about turning cooking from, a personal craft into a structured, repeatable system, something that could be taught, learned, and sent all over the world. And two guys really stand out as the architects of this whole system. First, in the early 1800s, you have Marie-Antoine Carême. They called him the king of chefs. He treated food like it was architecture. His dishes were these extravagant, complicated masterpieces meant to just blow your mind. But while Carême's food was art, it wasn't easy to copy. And that's where our next guy, Auguste Escoffier, the emperor of chefs, comes in. He took all that artistry and he streamlined it, simplified it, and most importantly, he organized it. Escoffier's greatest invention was the brigade de cuisine, or the kitchen brigade. He basically looked at a chaotic kitchen and thought, there has to be a better way. He applied a military-style structure to it, creating this really clear chain of command where everyone had a specialty. As you can see here, everybody had a very specific job. You had the executive chef at the top, their second in command, and then you had station chefs who specialized in sauces or grilling or pastry. This whole division of labor meant a huge, complex kitchen could pump out amazing, consistent food super efficiently, night after night. It was a game changer. And this right here is the whole point. Escoffier's system turned culinary art into something more like a science. It created a blueprint. Now you could train chefs anywhere in the world in this French system and get the same high-quality results. This was the key that unlocked global domination. And that is exactly what happened. With this repeatable system in place, French cuisine was ready to conquer the world. It basically went viral, becoming the universal language of fine dining everywhere. The proof is in the language we all still use. I mean, whether you're a professional chef or you just cook at home, your kitchen speaks French. Words like sauté, julienne, mirepoix. These are the fundamental building blocks of cooking. And yep, they are all French. And this dominance was then cemented in place by some really powerful institutions. All the new luxury hotels, from London to New York, they all used Escoffier's brigade system.
The world's first big culinary schools made French technique the absolute core of what they taught. And then you get the Michelin Guide, a French company, which became, and in a lot of ways still is, the ultimate judge of what makes a restaurant truly great. So as we start to wrap this up, let's just take a second to think about this incredible journey and the legacy of French haute cuisine, because it is still with us today. When you boil it all down, this is the takeaway. The story of French food is a story of incredible transformation. It starts as a symbol of aristocratic power, becomes a democratic art form thanks to a revolution, and then gets turned into a structured, teachable science. And in doing all that, it didn't just influence fine dining, it literally wrote the rule book. And that leaves us with a final thought. Today we celebrate incredible food from all over the planet. So has the definition of fine dining finally moved beyond its French origins? Or is the ghost of Escoffier still kind of running the kitchen? It's something to chew on the next time you sit down for a really special meal. Thanks for joining me.